Hey guys, Leanne here on Grady's Mom with Cooking Series, Volume 26. This is actually going to be a baking video. Now, those who have been following me for a long time know that I don't bake. And if I do bake, it's usually a box mix because I really don't enjoy baking that much. I think it's, for me, a little bit too time-consuming, I guess, and just too much structure. And for me, I like to just wing it, and with baking, you really can't wing it. But this is a quick recipe that I actually do make from scratch. It is just a simple banana strawberry bread, and I've been making it for a long time. However, I don't make it that often, but today I was in the mood for it because a few weeks ago my mom was here and she made a homemade banana chocolate chip bread, and it was so good that it reminded me that I should make my strawberry banana bread. So if you are an advanced baker, you might as well stop watching because you'll probably be extremely bored. This is a super easy recipe to make. This is all the ingredients you're going to need right here. But I did want to share this because I know a lot of people who watch my channel are beginner cooks, or maybe people who don't like to cook but want to learn to cook. This is also a really easy baking recipe to do with your children. And let's get started. So first, let me show you what entails, what ingredients you're going to need. You're going to need some strawberries, a couple eggs, a small thing of orange juice. If you buy orange juice on a regular basis, you can just use that. I normally don't, so I just bought this small one. 3 ripe bananas. Ripe bananas are going to work much better than non-ripe bananas. You're going to need baking soda and baking powder. You're going to need some regular old salt, some all-purpose flour. However, you can use like an organic flour if you prefer that. It does call in the recipe for vegetable oil, but I've made it with canola oil for years. But you are going to want to stick to vegetable or canola. You're not going to obviously want to use like olive oil. And then you're also going to need some regular white sugar. You're also going to need some parchment paper. It is optional, but I find parchment paper works better to get the loaf out cleaner. And you can do a couple options. You can use one standard size banana bread pan. I think this is like a 9x5 or an 8x4. You can use one pan like this, or you can use the mini loaf pans. I have 3 of them here. Depending on your loaf pan, sometimes if it's the larger mini loaf pan, you can get 2. These are small, so I'm thinking I'll be able to get 3. I think in the past I've only made it in my larger size pans, but I'm gonna go ahead and try and see if I can get 3 of the mini loaves. And then if I can, I'll probably freeze. I'll definitely freeze at least 1 for a rainy day, and then I'll just keep 2 out for my husband and my son and I to enjoy. So let's go ahead and get started with getting this all together. Alright guys, so I have my oven preheating to 375, and I'm going to start off first by getting these bananas mashed up. I just sort of use a fork to break them down first into smaller pieces. And these could be a little riper, but I wanted to film this video today while I had the time in my schedule. So then I'm just going to use the back end of the fork and just kind of push this down. And again, the riper the banana, the easier this will be. This banana definitely could be a little bit riper, but it is all I have to work with right now. Once it starts to mash, guys, it gets a little bit easier to come together. And you just don't really want any huge chunks in there. It doesn't have to be liquefied or anything. This is fun for kids to do, this part right here. Okay, that looks pretty good. Again, you don't need it to be liquefied, just mash so it's nice and moist. Okay, so we're going to set this bowl aside, and I'm going to move into this bigger mixing bowl here. Let me just adjust my tripod a little bit. Okay, so bananas are mashed. Alrighty guys, so we're going to do 1/2 cup of oil. Again, the recipe calls for vegetable, but I don't have vegetables, so I'm going to get my canola in. And as you just heard, my oven is preheated now. I'm going to grab my sugar. Okay, so the 1 cup of sugar is going to go right in with the oil. And I have found from years of making this to just use a whisk to combine it. If you don't have a whisk, a wooden spoon is fine as well. Kind of looks sort of crystallized, guys. All right, next we're going to add into this bowl the eggs, so 2 eggs. I'm gonna go ahead and just beat these eggs that I have already cracked right here. Just kind of whipping them up like scrambled eggs. So a little bit broken up, and those go right in to the sugar and oil mixture. Okay, then we're gonna add in the mashed bananas. Okay, and then I'm just gonna combine this. Just wanna make sure the eggs are beaten. Don't mind my child in the background. He's having a ball right now. Sometimes you gotta film when your kids are home, guys. Just depends on the day. Okay. So this looks pretty well combined. Just gonna make sure it is. Again, this is all really easy and fun for kids to do. It's like a really good snowy or rainy day recipe to make, and I find most kids and most people in general really like banana bread. And then you throw in the strawberries and it's definitely a winner. Okay. Next, I'm going to get another bowl and I'm going to sift together the dry ingredients to add into here. Alright guys, so in a bigger bowl, I sifted together all the dry ingredients. As always, again, for those who are new to my channel as well, I type all the directions and ingredients and amounts down below. So if I don't mention how much of whatever, it's, you know, all going to be down below. So again, I sifted all the dry ingredients, which was just flour and baking powder, baking soda, and salt. And now I'm going to go and add my orange juice in, which is 1/4 of a cup. Just going to add this in right here. Then I'm going to go ahead and add my strawberries. It calls for 3/4 of a cup, but I like to do a little bit less than that, just because I find it can be a little bit too moist for my liking, so I added those in there. And then I'm just going to start by putting like half of the banana mixture, the banana, eggs, and sugar and oil mixture. And I'm just going to kind of fold this in. And I've mentioned before in other just cooking videos in general, always use a bigger bowl than what you think you might need, because I get a little wild in the kitchen, and if my bowl is not big enough, it tends to go all over the place. So I like to use a little bit bigger of a bowl than I need, especially if kids are involved. I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of the banana mixture in. I'm actually going to use this spoon to scrape out any substantial amounts that aren't making it in. Looks good. Okay, I'm going to fold this all together. There's a ton of add-ins you can do with banana bread. My mom did chocolate chips a few weeks ago, which is a pretty common one. I've also had banana bread with butterscotch chips, which sounds weird, but it's really good. Obviously, you can throw in nuts, all different kinds of nuts, pecans, walnuts, that sort of thing. But I've always loved the combination of strawberry banana. I drink a lot of strawberry banana smoothies, and I just really like it in general. So you're really going to want to work this and get it really well combined. Scraping the edges. There you go. And this looks good, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and let me show you how I line my pans with the parchment paper before I pour in the batter. Alright guys, so I wanted to share something. I was going to use parchment paper, but I remembered that these little guys are like extremely non-stick pans, so I don't need to use parchment paper with these, but a lot of these mini loaf pans and regular loaf pans are not non-stick, so you are going to want to use parchment paper. I really like these parchment paper baking cookie sheets. They're all pre-cut. Let me show you guys. They're all pre-cut sheets, and you can obviously, like that, and you can obviously cut them. I actually had a scissor and I was cutting them in half because I was going to put them in here, but then I remembered these are the extreme non-stick ones. So all I'm going to do on these is just spray them with just some cooking spray. And I make sure the whole thing is sprayed. And then I'm going to go ahead and give my bowl batter one last stir. And I'm actually going to use an ice cream scoop, which looks like this, just because it's a little bit neater than trying to dump this huge bowl into 3 small loaf pans. So I'm just going to start with a few scoops in each loaf pan and kind of even it out from there. Yeah, these pans are really good because they legit like don't stick. Like pretty much if you spray them, whatever you're baking in there like falls out. They're that good. I think they're from Williams-Sonoma. I got them as a gift a long time ago, but I always forget how non-stick they are. I've made like mini meatloafs and stuff in here and they're really good. But yeah, I definitely don't need the parchment paper, so I'm not going to waste it if I don't need it for these. I'm just kind of filling a teeny bit over halfway because these are going to rise a lot. The batter tastes good. Looks like I'll be able to get 3 nice loaves. I cannot tell you guys the last time I baked something from scratch, I guess you could say, because normally when I bake, like I said, it's either a box mixed or I buy it pre-made at like a bakery. I'm just not a huge fan, but I'll tell you, once you eat something baked from scratch, it is so worth it. All right, so as you can see, I went over half with these, just, you know, by a hair, because I don't want to waste any of this batter. And if it does rise really high, that's okay. So I'm just scraping this last little bit, and that looks good. Now, when my mom makes this recipe, she puts a little grainy sugar on top, like crystallized sugar, just for effect. I don't do that. I just put them in the oven like this. So I'm going to put these in now for about 45 minutes on 350, and then I'm going to check them with the toothpick because my oven is kind of wonky. So I'm going to get these in now, and I'll show you what they look like when they come out. Okay guys, they just came out of the oven. They took 45 minutes on the dot. I know sometimes in the bigger loaf pans they can take up to an hour, but I just put the toothpick in and it came out clean. So I'm just going to let these cool before I slice one and show you what they look like. But they look really good. As always, I've made this recipe so many times and it's super delicious. So let me go ahead and wait and let them cool off, and I'll give you a peek of what they look like sliced before I dig in. So I just literally turned the pan over and the loaf fell right out perfectly clean with no residue in the pan. These pans are amazing. So I let these cool for like 20 minutes. I could probably let them cool longer, but I'm hungry and I want to eat. So as you can see, guys, the strawberries are, you know, running through. Every slice will be different. But I really like how the edges are nice and golden brown and the middle is nice and moist. And then again, there's the berries inside. So I really hope you guys give this one a try, especially those of you who are new to cooking or new to baking and maybe are intimidated by baking something from scratch. Believe me, if I can do it, you can do it. They're very easy. And again, get your kids involved to help you. And I hope you guys enjoyed. Have a great day. As always, everything's typed up down below, and I will see you guys very soon. Bye.